So, the 43rd Golden Joysticks Awards just happened, and wow. It was a bloodbath for the big blockbuster games. A shockwave just rippled through the industry, and the message is crystal clear. The age of the too-big-to-fail blockbuster is starting to crack. And while billion-dollar studios are busy delivering more bugs than features and recycling the same ideas with a new coat of paint, a different kind of developer is quietly stealing the show, the conversation, and the industry's biggest awards. This isn't just about one or two surprise hits, this feels like a seismic shift, a fundamental change in what we, the players, actually value. The verdict from the Joysticks, one of the largest publicly voted gaming awards on the planet, wasn't just a preference, it was a declaration. A declaration that creativity can beat budget, that passion can outperform process, and that a mid-sized AA or independent studio can absolutely deliver the ultimate game of the year. So, how did we get here? How did the Davids of the gaming world start toppling the Goliaths? This is the story of how blockbuster games lost their way and how a renaissance of creative daring and soulful titles are taking their place. To understand what's happening, we have to talk about the weird, frustrating, and often broken state of AAA gaming. For years, the formula seemed simple. Bigger budgets, bigger marketing, bigger sales, but that formula has curdled. The very thing that made these games AAA is now their greatest weakness. It's a crisis born from unsustainable economics and a total disconnect from the player base. Let's start with the money. Developing a major AAA title has become astronomically expensive. We're talking about budgets that eclipse Hollywood blockbusters, with some games costing well over $300 million, and the infamous Star Citizen soaring past $885 million in funding. These aren't just development costs, they include marketing budgets that are often just as big, if not bigger than the cost of making the game itself. When you're spending that kind of cash, you're not just making a game anymore, you're managing a colossal financial asset. And when that kind of investment is on the line, the number one goal stops being make a great game and becomes do not lose money. That fear is exactly where the creative fatigue we're all feeling comes from. It's why so many blockbuster releases feel like we're assembled on a spreadsheet. Innovation is risky. New ideas are unpredictable. A sequel, a remake, or a game built from the DNA of a proven formula, that's safe. That's predictable revenue. This pressure coming straight from publishers and shareholders who need good numbers every quarter trickles down into every design choice. It prioritizes monetization loops over gameplay loops. It leads to relentless push for live service models, even in games that are fundamentally single-player experiences. It's how we get a $70 price tag that feels more like an entrance fee rather than a purchase. Once you're in, you're funneled toward battle passes, microtransactions, and sometimes straight-up advantages for sale. It's a business model that sees the player not as a fan to be wowed, but as a resource to be mined for cash. The global gaming market is enormous, but a huge portion of that revenue, with some reports indicating over 40% of first-party revenue coming from live services, is from these in-game purchases. This focus has shifted the industry's entire center of gravity, where a game's success is measured less by its quality at launch and more by its 30-day retention rate. This obsession with quarterly earnings also explains the plague of broken launches. Games are rushed out to meet a date on a financial calendar, released in what can only be called a paid beta. We've been conditioned to expect huge day one patches, game-breaking bugs, and performance issues that can take months or even years to fix. Trust has been completely eroded, replaced by a cynical, let's just wait and see attitude. The excitement of launch day is gone, replaced with the fear of getting burned yet again. And all of this leads to that feeling so many of us have had, that the games just feel soulless. When a game is designed by a committee, optimized for monetization, and rushed to market, it loses its heart. It becomes another product on an assembly line, and this is exactly where the door was kicked wide open for a new wave of gamers to come rushing in. Games made with a different philosophy, a different goal, and a whole different soul. The players were starving for something new, something authentic, and at the 2025 Golden Joystick Awards, their voices were heard loud and clear. If the state of AAA gaming is a story of creative constraint, the story of the Indian AA scene is one of explosive freedom. The 43rd Golden Joysticks Award wasn't just a ceremony, it was a coronation. It was the moment the industry was forced to admit what players have known for years. Some of the most exciting, innovative, and beloved games are being made outside of the traditional blockbuster system. The undisputed champion of the night was Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Developed by Sandfall Interactive, this AA title, a game with a mid-tier budget but a sky-high ambition, didn't just win an award or two, it pulled off a historic sweep, taking home a staggering 7 Golden Joysticks. This included Best Storytelling, Best Visual Design, Best Soundtrack, and top performance awards for Jennifer English as the Best Lead Performer and Ben Starr as the Best Supporting Performer. To top it all off, Sandfall Interactive was crowned Studio of the Year, and Clair Obscur won the single biggest prize of the night, Ultimate Game of the Year. This is a monumental achievement. A game from a smaller studio tying the record set by a giant like Baldur's Gate 3 is a clear signal of a changing world. Clair Obscur proved that you don't need a budget in the hundreds of millions to create a masterpiece that captures the hearts of millions. You need a vision, a commitment to artistry, and a story that connects with people. It represents the pinnacle of the AA space, that sweet spot where developers have enough resources to deliver stunning production values without being creatively handcuffed by shareholders. But the success story doesn't stop there. Take The Legend of Hollow Knight Silksong. After years of anticipation, it finally launched on September 4th, 2025 to overwhelming fanfare. This game crashed multiple storefronts upon release, a feat indie or AA games rarely see. At the Golden Joysticks, it was justly rewarded, winning the coveted PC Game of the Year and the award for Best Indie Game Self-Published. Developed and self-published by the tiny Australian studio Team Cherry, Silksong is the ultimate testament to a passion-driven development. It's a sequel that expanded on its beloved predecessor in every way, delivering a deep, challenging, and artistically beautiful experience crafted by a small dedicated team who refused to release it until it was perfect. And the list of winners just keeps painting a picture of a vibrant, diverse landscape. Ghost of Yote took home Console Game of the Year and Best Audio Design. The award for Best Indie Game went to Blueprints. Meanwhile, Peak snagged both Best Multiplayer Game and the Streamer's Choice Award, proving indies can dominate the online space by just focusing on pure, community-driven fun. Even Grand Theft Auto 6, arguably the most anticipated game of all time, made an appearance, winning the Most Wanted Game and Best Game Trailer. Yet its presence didn't overshadow the monumental wins by these smaller studios. It just highlighted a market that can be hyped for a future blockbuster while celebrating the immediate brilliance of the games right in front of them. So what's the secret sauce here? It's a perfect storm. First, player preferences are evolving. A 2025 survey from Bain & Company revealed that while graphics are nice, they aren't the main reason people play. Gameplay is what matters most. This levels the playing field, allowing a studio of any size to succeed if they just make a game that is fun. Second, the barriers to entry have crumbled. Game engines like Unity and Unreal are more accessible than ever, giving small teams the tools to create worlds that once required a giant studio. Digital platforms like Steam allow a solo developer to launch their game to a global audience without a traditional publisher. In fact, the GDC 2025 report noted that half of all developers are now self-funding their games, showcasing a powerful trend toward creative independence. Finally, and maybe the most importantly, these developers have a real authentic connection with their community. They aren't faceless corporations. They're on Discord, they're on social media, sharing their progress, listening to feedback, and building a loyal fanbase following long before their launch. They treat their players like people, not walking wallets, and that creates a level of goodwill that marketing dollars just can't buy. If you're fascinated by the industry just as much as I am, and if you believe in championing games that put creativity first, do me a favor and hit that like button. And subscribe for more deep dives into the trends shaping the future of gaming. It's a small click, but it makes a huge difference. So, does this all mean AAA games are truly dying? No, not exactly. Blockbuster games will always have a place. The massive anticipation for a title like Grand Theft Auto 6 proves there's still an appetite for those grand, spectacular experiences. What we're witnessing isn't a death, but a necessary and long overdue market correction. The 2025 Golden Joystick Awards weren't an anomaly. They were a confirmation of a power shift that's been building for years. For too long, the AAA industry has operated in a bubble of escalating budgets and diminishing creativity, coasting on brand recognition while often failing to deliver a finished, fun, and respectful experience. Gamers got frustrated, and at the same time, the indie and AA scene was quietly building an alternative, fueled by accessible tech and a direct line to the community. They offered what so many AAA games have lost: novelty, personality, and soul. Now, those forces have collided. The success of games like Clair Obscur Expedition 33 and Hollow Knight Silksong is undeniable proof that players are voting with their time and their wallets. They are choosing gameplay over graphics, creativity over formula, and passion over profit. They're showing that a game's value isn't measured by its marketing budget, but by the quality of the experience. The indie market is no longer a niche. It's a multi-billion-dollar force projected to nearly double in size to $9.55 billion by 2030. This is fantastic news for everyone who loves video games. The rise of indie and AA dominance doesn't mean the end of big games. It means big games have to be better. The pressure is now on major publishers to reevaluate their risk-averse, monetization-heavy strategies. They can't take their audience for granted anymore. They have to innovate, they have to prioritize quality, and they have to rebuild the trust they lost. Competition breeds excellence, and for the first time in a long time, the AAA giants are facing real competition. The future of gaming isn't a monoculture dominated by a few blockbusters. It's a rich, diverse ecosystem where games of all sizes can thrive. It's a future where a solo developer can create the next global phenomenon, where a mid-sized studio can sweep the year's biggest awards, and where the largest companies in the world are pushed to create better games for all of us. The players have spoken. The industry has no choice but to listen. The revolution is here, and it's being led by the underdogs. But what do you think? Do you think this will create a shift in the AAA industry, or will they simply ignore the trends and continue to spiral downward? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments. As of this moment, the Game Awards nominees for their categories have all been named, so be sure to go to thegameawards.com or go to the link in the description to cast your votes now. The winners of these awards will be announced on December 11th. Be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive, and as always, thanks for watching. Peace.
So we just want to share a deep feeling that we all have at Soulful right now, like since the release, is what the fuck is happening right now?